Welcome to the station crew. Enjoy your stay.
This is Eric Rosenfield, the unlicensed paramedic. This will be his first time delving deep into the world known as SS13. SS13 is a massive role-playing game where a bunch of players are simultaneously working on a space station. And this is where Eric comes in. Eric is playing as a paramedic, which means he is unable to do any sort of surgery, but is able to do basic first aid. There is just one itty-bitty tiny little problem with that. Eric has never done this before. It will go about as well as you expect. But this isn't a story about Eric. This is a story about Timmy Two-Toes. Timmy Two-Toes is an, and I quote, just absolutely fucked fly person with two equally as fucked legs, an inability to properly communicate or stay alive for more than 5 minutes, and a motorized wheelchair. Eric's first meeting with Timmy Two-Toes was interesting, as Timmy was sat at the entrance of the medical bay playing the Mario Brothers theme on his electric piano. Eric was quickly distracted with the realization that he would actually have to do his job as a woman collapsed at the front of the medbay. For at least 10 minutes, Eric tried desperately to pick up the woman as Timmy Two-Toes played on his piano. After Eric falsely accused the woman of dying, she was taken away by a much more experienced medic. All the while this happened, Timmy sat in the medbay lobby playing on his piano. As Eric gave bad medical advice, Timmy finally left after a fire broke out in the main bar. Eric took a slight break to the bar, where he was called fat by the chefs. There he met up with Timmy Two-Toes once again, and even though the station was being consistently caught on fire, Timmy was still in high spirits. Here Eric learned that he was covered in something flammable, and about 3 seconds after that, he caught on fire. Somebody else finally managed to extinguish the flames after a few seconds of panicking, but he was now badly burned. After that escapade, Timmy returned to the corner of the medbay after being healed slightly by Eric, still playing his piano. Not long after that, Eric was assisting a burn victim in the bar by dragging him along the floor in order to try and heal him. After eventually being able to heal the man and stop him from dying, he learned that this was an attack, a deliberate attack of electricity against the engineer in order to kill him. Unfortunately, it failed, but he also learned that there might be more. Eric had no time to dwell on this, as bodies were now flowing heavily into the med center. As this was happening, a distinct cough was now spreading among most civilians and medical staff. This turned out to be an advanced level 5 virus that was spreading among everyone, and even though a vaccine was being produced, it was still causing many problems, including throwing up and rampant coughing. Eric talked to staff. He learned that this disease was human-made. A man named Daryl had launched a chem grenade in the bar, and that had spread the virus. On walking back into the medbay, there was a stark realization. Timmy's body was laying on the ground, bloody, burned, and destroyed. A firefighter had saved Timmy from the fire, but he was still incredibly injured, and he needed to get into surgery instantly. Although Timmy needed medical help, many were more interested in finding Daryl, the killer, and killing him. Timmy was placed into bed and immediately began being operated on by a doctor, trying to save him. Most of the doctors were occupied, and bodies and patients kept flowing through the doors. Even with the station's best doctor, Timmy was not doing well. Finally, he was up. The surgery had left him weak, and the virus was still rampant because he had an allergy to the iron that was in the pills. But nonetheless, he was alive. The station was beginning to fall apart, and Timmy wanted no part of it. He left. Finally, Eric met up with Timmy again in the hallway. Even with the fire doors closed, Timmy said nothing and was only able to cough, dance, and play his piano. Eric Rosenfield was starving to death, but The entirety of the kitchen was on lockdown. Even with a crowbar, he couldn't get through the doors, which meant he couldn't get any food. The entire station was now on complete lockdown, and panic had been spreading through everyone. Eric, desperately looking for a way out, ran throughout the entirety of the station. He met up with a mime, a doctor, and a few other people in the med bay, hoping that they could lead him to the evac center. As they made their way to the evac center, they heard the sound of glass breaking, the creature that had been killing everyone. They made their way onto the escape shuttle, but it was not safe yet, for they still had to wait time for it to actually undock. Hiding out in the darkness of a clown room made things very loud, as each step made the loud squeak of a clown's shoes. Finally, the ship launched, and they were in space, safe from whatever creature had been killing everybody else. Unfortunately, there was many civilians and medics that had been injured, so emergency medical had to be applied there and then. Unfortunately, after looking around on the survivors, Timmy Two-Toes had not made it on the ship. Whether he was alive on the station or not was a question that could not be answered.